Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Page 10. We are recording on the 28th of April 2023. It's a Friday, and with me, we have a regular panelist and we have a new guest today. The regular panelist, of course, is Meghnad joining us from Delhi. So, hello and welcome, Meghnad,
Hello, Abbas.
from a very hot Delhi, is what we learned like a couple of minutes ago
Yeah,
before we started rolling.
yeah, and now we are comparing weathers from where our guest is from, which you
Yes.
should mention. Which you should mention.
Yes, so joining us today as a guest on this episode of Page 10 is Srishti Jaswal. Srishti is an award-winning journalist who's written for Vice, for Al Jazeera, and many other publications. She's the recipient of the Lorenzo Natali Emerging Journalist Award. Welcome to the show, Srishti,
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
and please tell us where you're joining from.
I'm joining from the hills and sending you cool breeze from here.
Yes, please. It's required for both of us, both in Bombay and
I'm
in
also sending all our listeners cool breeze and nice weather
Yeah,
and nice rainfall, clouds, beautiful
yeah.
things, and some
and
glitter
all you
also.
will get in return is jealousy, like utter sheer jealousy is what you're getting from me right now.
No,
Uh,
no, just send me good vibes. I think I don't want jealousy, I want envy. Envy you have to
Fair
earn.
enough. Fair enough.
Sure,
Fair enough.
take it.
Fair enough.
इतनी इतनी गर्म जगह से हम envy और jealousy ही भेज सकते हैं. Like there's not much else to say. Also dust if you want from Bombay.
Dust. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
But
god,
in
no,
case
no, no, thanks.
in case you're watching or listening to Page 10 for the first time, I'd like to tell you this is our current affairs podcast from the All About Now feed and YouTube channel at IVM Podcast. You can find three shows on this channel and on this feed. One is, of course, Page 10. You can also find ELI 10, which is Explain Like I'm 10, which is hosted by Meghnad. And you can also find a show called How to Citizen, which is co hosted by Meghnad and Shreyas Manohar. And what we do on Page 10 is we have a panel, and each panelist brings a piece of news that happened in preferably the past week. They give a little explainer, and then we have a healthy discussion about it. So this week, without further ado, let's first go to Meghnad. Meghnad, what do you have for us this week? Please tell us.
Hello. So my Abbas reads. Hello. so um,
Sure, Meghnad, sure.
My headline reads Ex MP Anand Mohan Singh, convicted of killing IAS officer, walks out of jail to resume political innings.
Hmm.
This is a story that came in the Indian Express and many other publications. Most of you might not have heard of this fellow called Anand Mohan Singh, who used to be quite a phenomenon in the 90s.
Okay.
He was, as the news story said, he was convicted of killing an IAS officer. So let me just first tell you what the incident was that he was convicted for. 5th of December 1994, uh, G. Krishnaiya is the district magistrate from Gopalganj district in Bihar. He was woken up. He was going to a function early in the morning. He said bye bye to his wife. It was very cold. He was basically going to a meeting in a town called Hajipur, which is
Hmm.
130 kilometers away.
Okay.
So he did the meeting, and while he was returning, his car was stopped by a mob of which was protesting against the killing a day earlier. A killing
Hmm.
had happened a day earlier of this fellow called Kaushalendra Shukla, who is also known as Chotan Shukla. He was a gangster who turned a politician. So the mob stopped him. They were protesting against the killing. The mob comprised of a lot of people from the Shukla camp, basically, who were also known to Anand Mohan Singh. And it is
Hmm.
alleged, or now it was proved also, that Anand Mohan Singh and his wife were essentially leading the mob. And what happened is that the crowd lynched him and shot him in the head. The police basically retrieved his bloody body, and there was a case, etc. Now, in 2000, so this happened in 1994. In 2007, a local court convicted him and gave him a death penalty. A year later, the Patna High Court converted it into a life sentence, which
Hmm.
was then upheld by the Supreme Court in 2012. Right
Hmm.
now, we are in 2023. What happened in 2023 is that, so there was a law in Bihar which said that if you are the jail manual, it's called the Bihar's jail manual. It
Mhm.
said that those who are convicted for murdering a public safety officer on servant on duty will not be entitled to early release.
Mhm.
So earlier this month, the Bihar government, led by Nitish Kumar, changed that rule and removed that rule completely. And he basically dropped the clause from the manual and announced the release of 27 prisoners, including Singh.
Right.
Now, this is obviously being compared to what we had covered earlier of the Shah Bano case, where the Gujarat government did a similar thing where a bunch of people were released who were already convicted.
It was
So
Bilkis Bano, not Shah Bano.
my
Yeah,
bad.
Shabanu is different thing.
Yeah.
My bad, my bad. Bilkis Bano case where a bunch of people were released. So it's being compared to that. Bihar
Right.
government has also done it.
Hmm.
Essentially, 27 people were released,
Hmm.
including Mr. Singh.
Hmm.
Now, the thing is that the report in Indian Express is interesting because they were
Mhm.
like a lot of supporters will come to receive him. So we released him earlier in the night, which is like 3 in the morning,
Hmm.
and he was gone. Some supporters turned up at the jail to see
Mhm.
where he is, and he was already gone.
Hmm.
And he also hinted at returning to politics, which is the interesting part there. Now, some reactions have come up, which is the uh, Association of Civil Servants have asked the Bihar government to reconsider its decision. They said, quote, such dilution leads to impunity, erosion of morale of public servants, undermines public order, and makes a mockery of administration of justice. Weirdly enough, Anand Mohan Singh was already out on parole when this
Okay.
order came in. He was
Mhm.
attending his son's engagement ceremony, which was
Mhm.
also attended by the Chief Minister Nitish Kumar. Right. So Anand Mohan Singh is a happy fellow right now, and he has been basically hinting that he is going to give like a
Continue.
he's going to continue. Now,
Hmm.
I was looking, okay, so this is the basic story. Now,
Right.
the interesting bit is I was trying to look at who Anand Mohan Singh is, and my God, it's a rabbit hole. Um, okay, so in the 90s, so he essentially started his political career uh, a long time ago. He start uh, sorry, he started his political career when he started getting involved with the Sampurna Kranti movement, which was
Mhm.
led by the Jayaprakash Narayan, the famous
Right.
Jayaprakash
The movement.
Narayan.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the
The
movement,
JP.
JP movement. And this was when he was in college in 1974. He dropped out, and the whole thing he
Right.
got
Yeah.
into, right. So that is his beginning in
Background. Yeah.
politics.
Hmm.
Later, he sort of turned into this gangster, but also a messiah figure in
Okay.
Bihar,
Mhm.
where you must have heard another name, Pappu Yadav.
Of course. Yeah.
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 So Pappu Yadav and him were sort of rivals at some point. Pappu Yadav was the messiah of the downtrodden,
Right.
considered the messiah of the downtrodden,
Right.
and Mr. Anand Mohan Singh was the messiah of the other people who were not downtrodden. Essentially, it's
Right.
like a different
Hmm.
vote base, different bunch of followers everywhere, right?
Hmm.
He started this thing called Bihar People's Party.
Okay.
This he started when he was out on bail in another case, and he
Hmm.
fielded 100 candidates to screw with established politicians, which
Hmm.
was George Fernandez, Nitish Kumar, Lalu Yadav. They were
Hmm.
all during that time.
Hmm.
Lost most of the seats, lost his own 3 seats which he was contesting from. Again, I don't know how he contested from 3 seats, because I knew two were allowed. So maybe one was his wife and they just counted it as his seat. So
Yeah.
not sure what happened there. Anyway, um, right. So then he actually came into limelight because of the JP movement, because he was the one person who led a mob which personally showed the black flag to the then Prime Minister Morarji Desai in
Okay.
Saharsa, right? And that
Hmm.
became his area of operation as well.
Hmm.
Um, so when he was sentenced for his many for his the murder that I just mentioned in 2007, he became the first Indian politician since independence to get the death penalty. uh,
Okay.
yeah, first
Hmm.
Indian politician. It was
This
by a
is his
reversal.
medal.
That is his medal. Yeah, exactly. That is his medal. And he already had like 30 criminal cases against him other than this one, but this was the one that he got convicted in, right?
Hmm.
um, Now the villagers, which where he comes from, Panchagachia, they think of him as a Robin Hood slash god figure
Right.
slash
Hmm.
messiah, right? Even when he went to jail, they were like, this is wrong. He is a part of a political conspiracy, and this is not happening. Even when he was released right now, there was a crowd outside the jail trying to receive him, but he had already left, right? um, he had entered Lok Sabha in 1996 from Shevhar constituency on behalf of Janata Dal United. Right. So then I went deeper and I found this fun article from Tehelka in October 2007. Right, where there were a few three parts I'd like to read out from that article. Right.
Hmm.
Um it was his Musalman image that made Mohan's name synonymous with terror in Bihar's poverty ridden Saharsa Shopal belt for the past 20 years. He and Munna Shukla, the person who, yeah, faced several criminal cases, many of them for murder, in various courts across Bihar. While Shukla still remains a dreaded figure around Muzaffarpur and Vaishali districts in North Bihar, Mohan is notorious in the Saharsa belt as a criminal and sometimes as a kind of folk hero, right?
Hmm.
Then the opposition parties, especially Lalu Prasad Yadav's RJD, are in shock as Mohan and the other convicted JDU leaders were widely expected to help the opposition on its efforts to destabilize Nitish Kumar's 2-year-old government in the coming months. This was when he was arrested, right? This was when he was sentenced. And there is also like something about his friendship with Nitish Kumar,
Okay.
which says, once a member of Nitish Kumar's JDU, Mohan had reportedly played a critical role in formation of the NDA government in November 2005, bringing together the Bhumihars and the Rajputs, the state's most influential landowning castes. He and Nitish have remained friends and were supposed to have been in regular touch. I mean, he went to his son's wedding
Right.
also.
Of course. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
clearly,
Yeah.
वो बहुत deep जाता है उनका friendship. So
Right.
that is basically what I have for his story.
Right. Okay. Before I bring Srishti in, actually, Srishti, let's go with you. Do you want to add anything to this, or give us your opinion, and then I'll ask my
I
question.
only want to add one bit that I have a friend named Anand Mohan. I feel sorry for him right now.
Okay, he doesn't have a
So
sing in the end, no.
no, I don't think so. He doesn't use that. Maybe there is who knows.
अगर होगा भी तो
Um,
मेघनाथ he won't put it now. He's like
No,
नहीं. Okay, guys. So I have a bit of a broader question. So Meghnad, this guy that you whose journey you described, it's almost eerily somewhat like Atiq Ahmed's sort of
mm,
trajectory, right?
yeah, I was thinking that
Yeah.
too.
And then we also mentioned the Bilkis Bano case. So three different states, three different cases. But do you think overall we are seeing a scenario where law and order across states is facing a bit of a a bit of a getting lax, like people who should
mm,
clearly be behind bars are now, I mean, of course, Atiq Ahmed's case is a little different. He got murdered in police custody, but like the Bilkis Bano case, like this case, even hardened criminals who have very uh, severe cases against them are easily walking out and even claiming that in Milke's Bano's case, of course, they were garlanded and you could see
mm.
them in rallies and everything. And this guy's also saying, I'll go on with my political innings. So I would like to know both from Srishti and you about what you think. Is this just the norm in India and we are just seeing these cases close together? Or is there a like a
Hmm.
loosening of law and order across the nation?
So this is where I will repeat the sentence that the Civil Servants Association said.
Hmm.
Such dilution leads to impunity, erosion of morale of public servants, undermines
Hmm.
public order, and makes a mockery of the administration of justice. This is perfectly in one line, sort of summarizes what the answer to your question is, right? Because that's the thing. Like, pehle we were saying, oh, बीजेपी गवर्नमेंट ने गुजरात में कर दिया, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Now we are
Mm.
saying that नीतीश गवर्नमेंट ने बिहार में कर दिया
Hmm.
कि
Hmm.
I think there it's a general erosion of the fact that people need to be held accountable for their actions. In in this case and in the other case, it's basically murder.
Hmm.
You can't be held accountable for murder, it seems, because political considerations come first. You know,
Exactly. Yeah.
and the weird thing, this about this case, the conviction, the weird nay, but very tragic thing about this conviction is that the district magistrate who was killed, which is G Krishnaiya,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm. Hmm.
He was the district magistrate of a neighboring district, right? And
Right.
he kept screaming to the mob that he had no responsibility in the killing that they are basically protesting, right? He had
Hmm.
nothing to
Hmm.
do with it.
Hmm.
But they still murdered him. They
Hmm.
still basically shot him to death,
Hmm.
lynched him to death, and shot
Right.
him to death. His wife also basically had to suffer a lot because of that. He had two kids. She had to move out of the place, go to Bihar, take a teacher's job. And right now she's also saying that this is so unfair. Like, like I felt good after like 13 years of that case going on, that at least I'm getting some justice, where this guy, if not death penalty, now is in prison for
Hmm.
life.
Hmm.
The world is safer now. But now in
Exactly.
2023,
Yeah.
he's out on parole attending a wedding where his son is there, and the chief minister of Bihar is also there, right?
Hmm.
And two, immediately afterwards he just walks free, and now he's like, हाँ मैं तो फिर से politics करेगा, right?
Ha.
The I sometimes I wonder, right? Politicians tend to do this. Even in the case of, I would connect this with what we spoke about last week, which is the wrestlers thing.
Yeah.
The wrestlers protest that is happening also, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Same situation where a Bahubali essentially has been given with a lot of political clout, with a lot of following, with a lot of violent followers.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's basically being given like this position,
Hmm.
and not taken action against because of
Hmm.
political considerations, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Have we come to a place now, at least here in the cow belt, where this is what we have to go by, right?
Hmm.
Where criminals, bahubalis, people who have murder cases against them, convictions against them, are the ones who are getting tickets and political support, and are likely to get into our parliament and legislative assemblies, and also get positions as heads of
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
bodies,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's a little scary because now with this and with the Gujarat thing, and with the, as you said, Atik Ahmed thing also, because if you're a gangster who's on the other side,
Yeah.
then you're like the not supported by the government, then you get screwed, where you
Yeah.
get shot to death, right?
Hmm.
But on the other side, if you're in the support of the government, you will never, nothing will ever happen to you,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? So it's like basically impunity across the board, right? Like,
Hmm.
so rule of
Hmm.
law seems to not matter in these cases. And
Hmm.
then common people basically also can't do much.
Hmm.
The supporters will always say that, oh, but wo to galat conviction hua tha,
Hmm.
wo to,
Hmm.
that person was not really supposed to, should not be in jail, etc.
Hmm.
But like, it's just the law, right? I mean, like, you have to follow the law, like no matter how many
I
supporters you have or what they think.
Yeah. Go ahead, Srishti.
I think it's also a very strong indication that the mob and society in general is moving more towards vigilante justice.
Hmm.
And that
Yes.
is why they're not really conforming to the rules of law.
Yeah.
And you asked that, if you. So I don't think so. What's happening right now is pretty new or something which is very recent. Off the top of my head, what comes is um, the convicted criminals given tickets and
Hmm.
running offices, and then garlanding. I think one of the very important cases that comes to my mind is the Unnao rape case.
Yeah.
Hmm.
BJP, I think MLA Sengar, forgetting his full name.
Yeah.
It's a very unfortunate thing which happens in a country like India quite frequently. And if somebody meticulously maps out such incident, they will be surprised to see the frequency of it. It's so
Hmm.
frequent to
Hmm.
see things like this happening,
Hmm.
because although we have a constitution, court, and rule of law in place, but people tend to move towards vigilante justice.
Right.
That is the first reason why that mob that day lynched that IAS officer, and that is the reason why this particular fellow is now enjoying his
Hmm.
freedom.
Freedom.
Hmm.
And because I particularly believe in a democracy, people get the kind of government they deserve.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so people want these kind of things, people vote for these kind of, that is why Nitish has acted right now and, given him a free ticket. So I think that poses more structural issues that we have to discuss and, ponder upon right now.
Right.
Particularly that why. So that also shows us that our justice system is not adequate, that
Right.
our justice system is unable to, really um, it's also the erosion of faith in law.
Hmm.
Hmm. Hmm.
Hmm.
So I think that in itself is a very major question that we need to really ponder upon. I don't have solutions, but I can see the questions right now.
Hmm.
Sure, of course. I wanted to ask you, Meghnad, is this guy affiliated to any political party right now? Because he's saying with a lot of confidence that he'll continue his political innings.
Yeah, I don't think read anything about what parties, but pretty sure,
Okay.
like, like, Nitish Kumar is the way to go for him.
Right. Right.
Like, I mean, like, it seems from the
Hmm.
articles that I've read.
Yeah.
Again, we'll see what happens. Looks like he's like preparing for the general elections,
Okay.
which is one of these things that
Yeah. Yeah.
they are all preparing for. Therefore, the only people that we need in the field are these criminals that we need to release from jail, because you can't find anybody else, it seems. That's also
Exactly.
a thing, right? Like, I sometimes wonder that, I mean, sure, you have clout. The person
Hmm.
has clout, right? The
Hmm.
person has clout in one particular area, etc. Is there literally nobody else in that
Hmm.
area who you
Hmm.
can also put up as an alternative person? Speaking of which, his wife, Lovely Singh, was
Hmm.
also convicted in the same case, but she
Okay.
fought elections after that,
Ah.
right? And he helped her from jail to fight elections, right? So I'm not saying, when I say that, oh, we need to find someone else, I don't mean
Their
his,
spouses.
yeah, their spouse. I mean that,
Yeah.
there are better people that probably we can find to actually represent your party or your party's image or whatever it is.
Hmm.
Srishti,
Hmm.
what you said is actually important, where people are okay with this, like they, like, for example, this guy did have a messiah sort of image, which is
Yeah.
also a sign of the breakdown of rule of law, right? Because it's
Of
like the
course.
only way people there can get anything is to suck up to this messiah slash Robin Hood slash folk hero, who
Yeah.
is a gangster running around doing whatever beyond the law. um
Yeah.
so the
I mean,
people
Yes,
there's
are
also
actually, I
listening
would
to
there's
like
him.
also
to. I'll
yeah. Go ahead, Srishti.
somebody I was speaking to a police officer in UP, and I asked him who is the biggest don in UP.
Mhm.
So
Hmm.
he said police is the biggest don, and not just in UP, everywhere. So if you remove the police, the
Ha.
law will fall into its own place. So
Yeah.
I think we have some answers there. It's a joke. Please don't arrest me. Please don't file any defamation or anything like that against me. It's clearly a joke, but
Yeah.
an important
It
joke to
was,
understand current affairs.
Shrishti,
Yes.
it was a truth about all police departments except Delhi, Mumbai, and Himachal Pradesh. So,
Himachal
except
Pradesh has a Congress government right now.
shit.
Ooh.
Okay.
um okay, the last thing I want to say is I think it's a manifold problem, because those who consider people like this as a Hood, you're not elevating them also, that they stop seeing them as their hero. Because again,
Yeah.
the only way they can see justice happening is through vigilante justice, because they don't feel like the law and order is on their side. And of course the police and law and the other
Mm,
the justice system also needs an overhaul. So yeah, hopefully lesser criminals in politics and more good people. But
mm.
I think we've already cracked a joke. So
Yeah.
this
No,
this
also one thing. So I was talking to someone about this case, right? It was like, oh, kya hua? Whatever. Like, I was outraging essentially,
right.
and the person was like, "Dude, didn't you say he's from Bihar?" I said, "Yeah." What do you expect? I'm like,
Yeah.
stereotypes.
That's a
Matlab,
very, very, very sad statement.
Yeah.
Actually, somewhat true, but very sad.
very sad.
Because I
Exactly.
believe that I believe people deserve better than that.
Absolutely.
So often
Absolutely.
people gaslight those people who, who say, ki, okay, just because it's Bihar, so, it's supposed to be like that, because that is how the things are over there. But
Hmm.
Mm.
having said that, still that doesn't mean that it's okay.
It's not
And
okay.
True.
Absolutely not
unfortunately,
okay.
Unfortunately, because we have normalized this is the new normal, this is how things happen, but still that doesn't make it okay. it's
Right.
it's completely
Absolutely.
failure of law and order situation.
Absolutely.
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 All right, cool. We'll take a short break at this point. When we come back, we'll hear the stories that Srishti and I have for you. So we'll see you on the other side of this break. If you're watching us on YouTube, please press the subscribe button, hit the like button, and share this video. And if you're listening to us on an audio platform, please rate and review us wherever you're listening to us. We'll see you on the other side of this break.
Hey everyone, it's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On Cock and Bull, Cyrus is joined by Sriram and Vishal Raskina. They discuss the robbery at the Delhi Capital's camp, the Air India pilot who let a friend enter the cockpit, and many more stories. On the Wire Talk, Siddharth is in conversation with Anuradha Bhasin, executive editor of the Kashmir Times. They talk about her book, A Dismantled State, that carries stories from Kashmir after Article 370 was revoked. And on Anish Thing, Anish talks to Sandeep Gonzalez, co-founder of SS Homes, a luxury design label. They discuss why some suits are better than the others and the do's and don'ts of suit maintenance. Once again, do not forget to visit our merch store on ivmpodcast.com. We've got some super cool stuff over there for you and your loved ones. Follow us on social media. We are at IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. If you like our shows, then do not forget to spread the word. You know, it really helps us a lot. And of course, don't forget to rate and review our shows on whatever platform you are listening to them. You can also find all our video shows on youtube.com/IVM Podcasts. And finally, we'd like to thank our sponsors this week, Cash Free Payments and HDFC Mutual Fund. Thank you so much for making this possible.
And we're back on page 10 with Meghnad and Srishti. So, Srishti, you have a story for us that you covered for the News Minute. Please tell us what the story is. Take it away.
Story that I want to share today is actually called Monitoring the Media: How India Uses Surveillance to Suppress Dissent. Particularly, the story talks about journalists in India and how they operate under the ever watchful eyes and the ears of government, and how
Right.
do they cope up with the surveillance. So, last couple of years, Pegasus had made a lot of noise. I particularly understand how it functioned. I understand the consequences of that, but
Hmm.
that's not the only thing that is out there.
Hmm.
And so this particular story actually explores what's really legal when it comes to surveillance, and how government really goes beyond the fundamental rights and restriction to really, go beyond, just infringe our fundamental rights. So I'm just
Right.
gonna switch to that section where I'm talking about couple of relevatory stuff.
Of course.
So
Hmm.
I hope that our listeners and both of you know that surveillance is legal in India,
Yeah.
and
Okay, I did
under
not know that.
the
Is there a kind of surveillance that's legal and not legal?
so I'll tell you. So
Okay.
basically, is legal in India. Especially the electronic surveillance is legal in India to solve any crime.
Hmm.
That's our CCTV
So
cameras which we see everywhere.
it's not just CCTV camera. They can intercept your electronic communication. So if you're talking to your
Okay.
mom
Right.
or your ex-girlfriend or
Right.
whosoever is your partner right now, government can hear that
Right.
if they want to solve any crime.
Hmm.
So whether you commit any crime or you do not commit any crime, but if they want to surveil you, they can release an order saying that you might commit a crime, so they need to surveil you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and that
Just
is
one
allowed
example of this, Shrishti, just sorry interrupting, very
yeah.
funny example of this. So there was this time when potato farmers in UP were very upset with the prices they were getting. So they were dumping potatoes on the streets, and they happened to go to Yogi Adityanath's CM house and dump potatoes outside his house. The Yogi Adityanath government tapped 10,000 phones to find out who did this. And yeah, so go on, Shishti, go on. Yeah.
Yeah, so surveillance is actually legal under two acts: Telegraph Act and Information Technology Act. Telegraph Act is still civil because it was brought in by Britishers.
Right.
So the Telegraph Act limits the scope of surveillance to eight reasonable restrictions that are there to our freedom of speech.
Hmm.
Whereas Information Technology Act goes beyond it and it doesn't list anything. So even for solving any crime,
Hmm.
they can intercept any call or any records or anything like that. So it just goes beyond the remit of any, there's no restriction to which government can pose.
Right.
So over the years, almost every year, thousands and thousands of phones are being intercepted. So your regular calls that you make, they're very highly unsafe. Never do that. If you want to talk about your taxes, if you want to talk about your spouses, if you want to talk about your personal life, regular calls are so easy to intercept.
Hmm.
And that's because of a system called CMS that
Okay.
was brought in by Congress government. So
Okay.
it's such a murky story. So we
Right.
blame the current government, because that they are over surveilling the citizens, but actually
Mm.
the infrastructure was put in place by the Congress government.
Mm.
Hmm.
So let me read out the section that I was saying. Just give me a second.
Sure.
Yeah. So, centralized monitoring system or CMS is an enterprising surveillance system that monitors text messages, social media engagement, phone calls on landlines, cell phones, among other communication. So, it was set it up in 2009 to automate the process of government approved lawful interception of monitoring telecommunications. In fact, all the telecommunicator operators are required by law to give access to communication that we have over the networks if
Hmm.
Hmm.
the law enforcement agency asks for it. um, but one of the very big issues with CMS is that it cannot give end to end encrypted communication. So for instance, WhatsApp calls are end to end encrypted,
Right.
Signal is end to end encrypted, but what you browse on your browser is not
Hmm.
end to end encrypted unless you approve settings for that.
Okay.
Hmm.
And so, if you are searching for the price of tomato, or if
Hmm.
you're searching about porn videos,
Hmm.
your network operator can see that you're searching it on mobile data,
Right. Right.
and government can see that too. So whatever
Right.
you do on your mobile data or whether on your Wi-Fi, government can see it unless it's end-to-end encrypted, because they have entire system in place using
Hmm.
which they can extract that data. And in fact,
Okay.
this is very important because if you remember, a couple of weeks back, there was a news story
Hmm.
how a Pakistani girl who had come from Pakistan to
Yes.
India in Bangalore to be with her lover, she eventually got married and they were living happily together.
Hmm.
Hmm.
How she was caught is through that CMS systems, because
Hmm.
she
Hmm.
was making calls every day to Pakistan,
Hmm.
and she was making calls every day to Pakistan back at her home. So the law enforcement agencies locally, because they were doing mass targeting, so out of the
Hmm.
more data they have for mass targeting,
Hmm.
the easier it is for them to do targeted surveillance.
Hmm.
Okay.
So in the mass data, they saw that that particular area and that particular person was calling Pakistan again and again. And then over the months, they felt like this is something suspicious, not normal. So they tried to narrow it down. When they narrow it down, they informed the local police station. Local police station asked around, and they were, it's very easy to find a person like that in a
Hmm.
neighborhood, because
Right.
she was caught and she was deported back to Pakistan.
Okay.
So this is a real life implication that
Hmm.
actually, we can see. So
Hmm.
that's CMS which is in place.
Hmm.
Then the second surveillance system that is in place, which is again legal, is Netra. It's called
Hmm.
Network Traffic Analysis System, and it basically, out of the surveillance that is there, uh, the government can put in certain word. For instance, they can put in words such as Modi, and
Hmm.
whosoever uses Modi in his email, text messages, or anywhere in electronic communication, government will get to know. And the
Hmm.
moment they feel there is something suspicious, they can again target to that person. So your
Hmm.
Gmail is not end to end encrypted, they can see that. Your I think our chat right now is not end to end encrypted, they can see that
No.
too.
Absolutely,
So
they can.
so they can see that too. And there are keywords put in place with respect to so-called national security and other stuff, which is, again, national security is not defined. What is national
Right.
security? National
Ah.
security is not government ka security.
Correct.
Hmm.
It's citizen ka security, but I think more they're concerned about government ka security.
Hmm.
And so they've put in these place words in place, which of course is not available in public domain, and they monitor it using that.
Okay.
Next, we have NatGrid. NatGrid is something like, a database of all the government databases. So, tax, bank, Aadhaar, visa, immigration, air and rail travel, access to crime, criminal tracking, everything that is there, it's in the national grid, NatGrid. And it's also very risky because all your information is out there. match this with your telecommunication information, how easy it is to find to 360-degree profile of an individual. Like really easy. And I'm still wondering why they were not able to find Amrit Pal in Punjab.
Yeah.
So, and the next one is lawful intercept and monitoring project. So lawful intercept and monitoring project is also called LIM. So it's basically when the government puts in a request to the internet service provider to monitor and track communication. So for instance, if they feel like, for remember the Radia tapes,
Hmm.
Yeah.
and so the Radia tapes were actually LIM, in which they were suspecting that she is doing some sort of foul play, and so then they put in a request for that she should be intercepted for this particular period of time. So these are the four projects which are currently operational in India, completely legal, and they can actually strip a person naked if they want to.
Mm,
They can get to know about every fucking detail unless you
Mhm.
protect your privacy, and most of the people, they don't protect their
mm,
privacy, and it's very easy. And then on the top of that, they also use spywares
mm,
to know whatever is left, so that they can know even that. So my story explored all these things that I reported over the course of I think 3 to 4 months.
Right.
And it discusses the aspect of surveillance in quite great length, and
Yeah.
especially the unlawful surveillance that's there.
mm,
I think I remember during the anti-CAA protests, they were also using facial recognition to
Yeah.
identify the people who are protesting.
mm.
Um, is there any, like, are people fighting against it? Is there anybody who is putting their anger towards it?
I,
Meghnad is
I
raising
can
his hand for
see.
our audio listeners.
I
Meghnad,
think
yes,
there are a
I
lot
how
of
are
have.
you
people who are
fighting
fighting
against?
against.
I used to, when I'm in my young days as a political person,
Young days, you are still
young
young.
days, young days, Srishti, what are you saying? I'm not young anymore. Like my body tells me so. But anyway, like there was this time, no. So like whatever you described, no, Srishti, all these four things.
Hmm.
Uh, we were when the Aadhaar law was being passed. All of these things came up because
Hmm.
Aadhaar is that one thing that ties all of them together for the
Correct.
360-degree profile to be enabled तो
Yeah.
बेसिकली एक आधार नंबर डालो तो तुम्हारा फोन कम्युनिकेशन तुम्हारा बैंक अकाउंट तुम्हारा इनकम टैक्स तुम्हारा
Yeah.
सब कुछ
Yeah.
गवर्नमेंट के पास and then on top of that you put in all this surveillance measures and basically you have a human being and all of their life and whatever they are and whoever they were in the past and whatever they are doing in real time, right?
Hmm.
That was one basically fear that with Aadhaar that we had during that time. Ab nahi hai, of course. I got Aadhaar as well. I am completely safe. I feel very safe. I don't care what Srishti does or what she writes. I am very. I love this government.
Unless you make any calls to Pakistan.
I will never do that, Srishti. मेरे सब मेरे को मैं कभी
Another
नहीं
very
करूंगा ऐसा.
important thing. Another very
Yes.
important thing. I got a tip from Kashmiri journalists. Never save a Pakistani number in your phone, because whenever they
Oh.
arrest you, सबसे पहले they check +92
Yeah,
कोई पाकिस्तान
yeah,
का
yeah,
number है कि नहीं है.
yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
So delete everything.
Also, if you get Pakistan's spam also, by the way, which I used to get and sometimes get still,
Hmm.
immediately delete. Immediately, like
Hmm.
खोलना भी नहीं, +9 to दिखा, delete. Just do that.
Okay.
Also,
Srishti,
no,
yeah. Go
another
ahead.
tip for guys, right? Every 3 months, factory wipe your phone. Also, another
Yes,
tip
Really?
it's
for
very
people.
important.
Yeah, I factory wipe my phone every 3 months. Also, don't use Chrome or any browser to browse things. Just don't use it. Use Tor or something.
Acha, guys, very important practical tips. So when you go on
Yes.
your browser, whether it's Chrome or whether it's Firefox, there is a mode called HTTPS mode.
Mm,
So
mm,
when you do HTTPS, it encrypts your web browsing. That's
mm.
very important. Otherwise, they can see what you're browsing on the internet.
Yeah.
And I
Okay.
think that's
I'm
very
learning
embarrassing,
so
because
much.
sometimes you browse certain random stuff, and I don't
Yeah.
want government to see that.
Yeah. Also, is the incognito mode just a fallacy?
Yes. Yes, that's it. Basically, incognito mode is a pretend thing so that the website doesn't collect cookies or something to
Right.
track you. But at the same time, your ISP will just ठोक में ले लेगा और दे देगा वो government को. So don't.
Sometimes I feel so. It's so such an innocent question. I tell you, like so innocent.
I
You
know.
can
Guys, मुझे
understand a
लगता है
person is a privacy virgin if they ask this
हाँ,
question.
मुझे
Yes.
लगता है मैंने इनकॉग्निटो खोल दिया मतलब मेरे आस-पास ऐसे पर्दे लग गए, कोई कुछ नहीं देखता।
That's
Uh,
when I used to
so
work with
another thing, if
politicians.
you
No,
want
sorry,
to,
Yeah,
Srishti,
go ahead,
sorry, when I
Srishti.
used to work with politicians, no, this was a thing, by the way. So, like, they all knew that CMS hai, Netra hai, everything. They were in parliament when this was passed, and they were like, "अरे अब क्या ही कर सकते हैं?" types.
हुँ, हुँ,
Sensitive conversations अगर करने होंगे, all your phones have to be outside. You have to turn off Wi-Fi. You have
राइट।
to take out all the phones from your room, and then you have those conversations
हुँ,
because कोई भी कभी भी सुन सकता है. Basically,
हुँ,
all the political class is so paranoid now. Like, and
हुँ,
this is not. I'm not like basically understating this. Every opposition politician is thinking about this constantly. कि कुछ
हुँ,
भी sensitive बात करनी होगी which the government might not like.
हुँ,
We have to be very careful about how we do it, when we do it, etc. Because now what happens is that, for example,
हुँ,
the weed conversation that Deepika Padukone was doing, okay,
करेक्ट, या
that whole ये uh, क्या what
माल
was
माल,
it,
मिलेगा क्या?
माल मिलेगा क्या or whatever, like
हुँ,
जो भी था. How do you think they got this?
हुँ,
They basically either they got her phone from somewhere, and
हुँ,
while they got the phone, they extracted that data out of it and gave it to whoever they want.
राइट,
Or even the Arnab Goswami chats on the other side, right?
राइट,
When he was called in for questioning, another thing that happens is when you're called in for questioning, they make you keep your phone in a box outside.
हुँ,
Sometimes what happens is that you just keep it thinking कि हाँ अंदर जाना है. They will clone it, and then
ओह!
they'll say that, oh no, for national security reasons, for the
हुँ,
case that
No,
we are
no,
doing, we
actually,
needed it.
I'll tell you, Meghnad. So,
Hmm.
what happened in particularly Deepika's case? So, one of the person who was called in for questioning from her phone, her manager's phone, they
Oh
got
right,
those
manager's
chats.
phone, they
And
cloned it. Yeah.
whereas in case of Arnab Goswami's case, they cloned the messages from the BARC
Chairman
leader, chairman, who turned in to
Partho.
be a witness in the case. Yeah, Partho,
Partho.
and he
Partho.
turned out to be witness, and that is how they got the chats.
Hmm. Hmm.
And in other cases, of course, because previously all the WhatsApp end to end was encrypted unless they have your phone, they
हुँ,
can't read those conversation. But the
Hmm.
Gmail backup was not encrypted, so they
हुँ,
got all those messages and everything from Gmail. So remember that Navika Kumar reading all these chats.
yeah, I'm
They
a
were Gmail.
bounce.
The they were Gmail backups.
Hmm.
And
हाँ,
so it's not so WhatsApp encryption is pretty solid, but WhatsApp shares its metadata. So WhatsApp shares the information that is like for how many minutes you have spoken to whom, where that particular person is located, where you are located, and how frequently you converse. They WhatsApp also have access to your contact list, so they can also
Hmm.
map it along with Facebook, Instagram, real life,
राइट,
but they can't see what you have written or what you have told. So WhatsApp calls are encrypted, but still not safe because metadata is good enough to actually map this entire situation.
Hmm.
And yes, one last thing. So
yeah,
Meghnad said that all the opposition MPs and everyone is like really scared. I think more than opposition MPs, it's the MPs or the MLAs who are of the sitting government, because the sitting government also employs Pegasus on them.
of course.
Accurate.
Remember
Accurate.
Ashwani Vaishnav? So
I know. I
I
know.
think at least opposition can say
Yeah,
that they can abuse Mr. Someone,
yeah,
but imagine the
हाँ, वो तो कुछ कर
sitting
भी नहीं
cabinet
सकते।
minister saying.
Yeah. Oh, that must be
Yeah,
scary. I agree. I
एग्ज़ैक्टली,
agree with this. And also one more hot tip, guys. Hot tip. WhatsApp का backup बंद कर दो.
yeah.
WhatsApp messages don't matter, guys. You don't need to look at like 3-month old, like 6-month old messages. Don't do it. It's okay. Let
Meghnad,
them
but then
go.
how
And
will
actually
how will I remind my girlfriend of the message she sent three months ago saying, "See, you said this back then."
Your
अरे उसका इनसे स्क्रीनशॉट ले लो
privacy
ना
is,
जो इम्पोर्टेंट लग रहा
अच्छा
हाँ,
ठीक है Got it.
है.
good, good, good.
I do
Sorry,
that.
sorry, Srishti, you're saying
it's it's very important to make a point, so I
exactly.
will make a point, but not on the cost of my privacy. So I have
Got
disappearing
it.
messages on, so my
Yeah.
conversation disappears every week,
Okay,
Hmm.
but I take screenshots where I believe it's important to take screenshots.
Yeah.
okay.
No,
I have
I
one.
let everything go every 3 months. I mean, sometimes I like photographs वगैरह वगैरह इधर उधर, but many times I'm just like, जाने दो, like गए photos.
Okay. I have one last question, guys. Do you think the people, like common people like me, are not understanding the severity of this because we've just accepted surveillance as
Yes.
part of our lives? के हाँ हमको तो मतलब हमने एक टी-शर्ट चेक किया तो हमको सब एड्स टी-शर्ट्स वाले आएंगे हर हर सोशल मीडिया साइट पे.
Yeah, I
We
will tell
just we
you,
just
it is
accepted.
so, it is, the common people are so gullible, so easy to
Hmm.
scam. Oh my God. Like,
Hmm.
people put where they're having tea, people put where they're buying t-shirts, people put where
Right.
they're buying footwears and everything. You can actually get scammed based on that
Hmm.
very
Hmm.
easily. Their entire lives is out there on Instagram. LinkedIn gives entire information. It's such a
Hmm.
scary thing. I
Hmm.
am afraid of state later on when private people can actually come and con me very easily. So I think
Hmm.
people should be very much scared about the digital privacy, and they don't take it seriously.
Hmm. So,
Okay.
like after this, when this episode releases on the All
Hmm.
About Now channel, we have a very fun episode that is going on ELI 10 called "How to Do Online Scams." Uh,
Okay. Is it a
it's with
tutorial?
this, yes, it's with this DGP of Uttarakhand who wrote a book on how to basically stories about online scams. So I was like, playbook बनाएंगे, हमको बताओ कैसे scam करने.
हाँ.
And one of the things he said is this, right? Where it's like, the funny thing is that he was talking obviously from the police side of things, right? And while he was talking about it, he was casually, हाँ, so हमने ना फिर उनका फोन टैप किया, फिर हमने ना उसको वो उधर से
Hmm.
पकड़ा, फिर ना हमने उसको उधर ट्रेस किया, फिर एक मेघालय का ट्रेस आया, फिर एक वो ना बैंगलोर का सिम कार्ड निकला, और फिर ना
Hmm.
हमने बैंक अकाउंट ना ट्रेस किया, इधर से उधर दिया, फिर while you're listening to this, you are like, oh, ये तो क्रिमिनल के बारे में हो रहा है. Like
Right.
someone scammed someone, so then the police is doing all
Hmm.
this. What a
Hmm.
great technology they are doing, right? What
Yeah.
great amazing work they are doing.
Right.
Imagine they can do this to anyone.
Of
No,
course.
not just criminals. So, but that episode is very fun.
And
Uh,
the bigger thing is, Meghnad, they don't do this to anyone. They do it only to the state political prisoners and the people of interest.
yeah.
So, for instance, I'll tell you very, very funny thing. So, I was
Mm.
recently being trolled very heavily when a story came out. The story was about the murder of Gauri Lankesh, journalist Gauri Lankesh, and it was in partnership with Forbidden Stories, which actually did the Pegasus investigation first. So,
Right.
I was being trolled very heavily. Somebody also doxed my mother's details online and, gave the address and everything and said that, I will be beheaded. Very vile comment. So I went to police. I showed them कि ऐसा ऐसा हो रहा है and I want to register a police complaint. पुलिस ने बोला अच्छा ट्विटर पे रिप्लाई भी कर सकते हैं ऐसा भी होता है and this was a cyber cell
Yeah.
and I was like yes
Wow.
yes रिप्लाई कर सकते हैं and ऐसा ऐसा रिस्की है ये बोलते अच्छा चलो हम देख लेंगे अभी तो मुझे नहीं लगता कि कुछ होगा आपको आप चिंता मत करो फिर आई वॉज मोर कंसर्न अबाउट डॉक्सिंग मोर देन गेटिंग रेप
Right.
थ्रेट्स एंड डेथ थ्रेट्स वो तो होता ही रहता है सो उसके बाद उन्होंने बोला देखो डॉक्सिंग का तो बेटा कुछ नहीं हो सकता बट आपको जो रेप थ्रेट्स दिए ना उसके लिए हम कुछ कर सकते हैं
Hmm.
मैंने बोला ओके
Hmm.
उसी के लिए आप कुछ कर दो
कर दो
Uh,
हाँ.
पर तब से लेकर अभी
Ah.
तक कुछ नहीं हुआ नो एफआईआर नथिंग एट ऑल बट द सेम
Hmm.
गवर्नमेंट एंड सेम पुलिस विल once they get up higher up order ki this is the person of interest they
Hmm.
will start acting so swiftly and it's not the pursuit of justice
hmm.
it's actually it's the opposite quite the opposite of it.
Hmm.
All right.
Even in the Bully Bai case, the Mumbai police did a very good job of
Good job.
tracking the
Yeah,
guy
yeah, yeah.
and do that. Yeah.
Correct.
But okay.
Yes. Thanks, Srishti. You can find Srishti's story that she mentioned in the episode description, so you can read it in full. And at this point, we'll take another short break. When we come back, we'll finally wrap up with the news piece that I have. So we'll see you on the other side of this break.
Hi, this is Cyrus Rogan Brocha, pyar se Rogues. I've come up with a brand new idea. It's a premium product called Club Cyrus Says. It's an offer open just for you. Let me tell you about the product. We've got exclusive Cock and Bull episodes just for you. That's right, just for you. That means others don't get to see it. Also, you get exclusive footage, extra bits, the uncut version of the interviews with celebrities. And these are huge celebrities, not small-time celebrities. Only the big guys come on the show. So you'll get the exclusive bits that nobody else gets. The extra tidbits, special stuff, uncensored stuff you don't want to put out. That's just for you. And for our audio listeners, you get special ad-free content and early access to interviews and sessions and podcasts which nobody else will get. You'll get it first. You're the first people. You're Neil Armstrong. You're Edmund Hillary. You're whoever discovered India. You're that. And by becoming an exclusive member of Club Cyrus Says, you get the power. We transfer the power to you and you become the producers and you will decide what content or what happens on that show. You are the masters and we can't use words like that. People who work for the masters, basically. So guys, get in. Special audio features include, I forget. I can't remember what the
And we're back on Page 10 with Meghnad and Srishti. We've already heard from Meghnad and Srishti. So we'll wrap it up with what I have. The headline reads, Fox News parts ways with their star host, Tucker Carlson. So for regular listeners of Page 10, Meghnad covered the Fox versus Dominion voting system case a couple of weeks ago. We'll find the relevant episode and put the link for that. Essentially, the case in a nutshell was Fox News was being sued by Dominion voting system because Fox News perpetrated this idea that Donald Trump was claiming that the 2020 election, American election, was rigged, and it's actually the Republicans who won it. But because the voting machines were hacked, that's why the other team won. Rather, the other party won. So the Dominion voting system sued Fox News for this. What Meghnad covered was there were a lot of sort of Pandora's box opened up, a lot of text messages within Fox News ka jo team hai, they were exposed, and it exposed the fact that not all the hosts believe what they say on air. And this was supposed to be the media trial of the century. Unfortunately, the trial never took place because Fox News and Dominion actually settled for an out of court settlement for $787.5 million. Dominion claims the higher moral ground and says that this is actually Fox News admitting to the fact that they spread fake news and misinformation. Fox News on the other hand says कि देखो भाई हमारा तो कुछ नहीं हुआ है, जो भी है हमारे journalistic standards इतने बड़े हैं that we didn't really face any big setback. But so this was on the 19th of April, and 2 days later they fired their star host Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson, if you've been fortunate enough never to have seen him, is probably the vilest, most offensive newscaster out there. I would say a lot of our news anchors in India also take a lot of inspiration from him, and in spreading
For the
misinformation.
listeners, he's the Sudhir Chaudhary of America.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Sudhir Chaudhary / whatever name you want to add there.
I think
In
he's more funnier than him.
true, and
And I'm gonna
intentionally
give
and
funny.
unintentionally.
And because he has this strange facial expression which I think nobody can replicate.
Yes. The report says that Tucker Carlson himself came to know about the firing 10 minutes before Fox News released the statement about his firing. And so this is the interesting part. There is no official reason given by Fox News why they fired him. They've just given in the statement that Tucker Carlson and Fox News have decided to part ways, and they've thanked him for his service and so on and so forth. But there are three reasons which are being speculated why this happened. Number one is, of course, because the texts were leaked where Tucker Carlson was talking to his texting his producer, who's also been fired, by the way, and saying that he considers Trump to be a demonic presence, and they're making our credibility go to shit. That's the first one. The second one is the speculation is that Rupert Murdoch actually wants to sell Fox News, and Fox News is more saleable without Tucker Carlson than with him because he's such a polarizing figure. But my favorite, guys, is the third reason which is being speculated.
Huh.
So Rupert Murdoch was apparently slated to get married to a dental hygienist a couple of weeks ago. It would have been
Okay.
his fifth
Yeah.
marriage, and the marriage was called off. And the story goes that this woman who he was supposed to get married was extremely religious, and like one of those hardcore evangelical Christian types. And she thought that, or she believed that Tucker Carlson uh, was a was sent with a message from God to keep America on the right track. And to add to this, I think a day before he was fired, Tucker Carlson was speaking at a conference where he spoke a lot about God and a lot about religion and prayer and Christianity. And the day after that, he was fired. So the speculation is because Rupert Murdoch was so pissed off with the fact that he couldn't marry a woman who was so religious and she considered Tucker Carlson to be this messiah figure, he just fired him out of spite. That क्या अगर अगर मैं शादी नहीं कर सकता उससे जो तुझे हीरो मानती है तो तू भी क्यों रहेगा मेरे नेटवर्क पे
This I buy.
yeah
This is the real news. This is what I'm here for.
um,
As a woman, I would say that, I don't buy it.
You
isn't
don't
that a
buy
very
that a rich man is also spiteful
it's a
about
very
this. It's like
Majnu thing to do क्या रे
it's a
like
very it's a very old man thing to do also, no?
yeah
Like I
yeah
mean
yeah
rich
Yeah.
old man who has everything and anything has this अरे
Why
छोटू
would they?
anchor जो
Okay,
मेरा
okay. In that
employee है.
case,
yeah go
why
ahead
would they fire the producer then?
प्रोड्यूसर तो चलो मतलब वो उसकी वजह से टेक्स्ट लीक हो गए कुछ भी हुआ एंड आल्सो द शो इटसेल्फ इज गोइंग ऑफ एयर सो आई गेस दे वर लाइक yeah let's get rid of him
No,
the more
at the other,
But
I'll
I
tell
think
you. I'll tell
yeah
you
yeah
why.
Hmm,
Conspiracy. I'll tell you why. So
hmm,
because he fired Tucker Carlson because of obviously this reason,
yeah
uh, he was like, oh, but अगर लोग बोलने लगेंगे कि ये reason की वजह से हुआ है, like Srishti was the
hmm,
reason.
yeah
So we should fire the producer also so that people like Srishti will be like, हाँ, तो producer को भी तो fire किया ना? That's why the producer was fired.
very, very, very important reason. Now I buy the story.
Yes.
Another very, very interesting bit कि Carlson को already offers आ गए हैं job के लिए. Like a lot of
of course
channels
yeah
are
yeah
Wait, are there?
so
yes.
so
Wait,
I'll
there are
come to
people.
that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Go
So
on.
I'll come to that. So, of course, so Tucker Carlson has previously also been accused by ex Fox News employees of creating a very toxic work culture.
Hmm.
Surprise,
Hmm.
surprise.
Hmm.
So there is also the speculation ke pressure already built ho raha tha against him. There's been a small development though on the 26th of April, which is 2 days before when we are recording. Tucker Carlson actually released a video on his official Twitter handle, which is a 2 minute 15 second video where he's essentially speaking round and round about the fact that we like that whole right wing bullshit that we are not allowed to tell the truth in media
Hmm.
and people who tell the truth are fired. He didn't name Fox News, of course, by name, but he signed off by saying in a very cryptic way, which already there are Reddit threads about conspiracy theories about what he said, where he said that those who speak the truth shall reign supreme and I will be seeing you soon. And he went live exactly at the time when his Fox show used to air. So that is the thing about his getting offers. I wanted to pose this question to you guys. So there are two other figures which I want to sort of make comparisons with. There's Bill O'Reilly and Alex Jones. Bill O'Reilly was, of course, another star Fox News host who had allegations, not allegations, he was accused of paying out women for sexual harassment.
Hmm.
And he was fired off Fox News. Now he also does something in a small radio station. I think he runs his own show, but it barely gets 1/10 of the viewership and listenership that he used to get at Fox News. And the other is Alex Jones, who's like this very extreme right podcaster who played a big role in getting Donald Trump let Donald Trump win the election. And he was thrown off Twitter, Facebook, YouTube because he was seen spreading information that might be harmful. And he also still does his show, but his reach is very very limited because he's been kicked off all these major platforms. So do
Hmm.
you guys think now Tucker Carlson also, if he does something on his own, will not get the kind of reach he used to, because Fox News was is the platform for conservative Americans audiences?
It's hard
I
to
think
tell. Go on, Srishti. Sorry.
I think my so again it's hard to tell, but what I think of it is that I don't think so he will get the same audience.
Hmm.
We've
Hmm.
seen this in the star anchors who were also removed from their own platforms in India as well. But
Right.
otherwise, also, even if we see the instance of Trump being removed from Twitter and then eventually he was also brought back, they have not
Yeah.
got the same audience as
Hmm.
it was previously. So, they
Hmm.
don't reach that zenith again. So
Hmm.
this is my hunch, unless he moves to some other network which has similar clout.
Hmm.
Unless he becomes the right wing Ravish Kumar, where he goes onto YouTube and gets an equal number of hits there
I also think that Ravish Kumar doesn't gets equal number of hits
I
there
don't
on
think so
as
YouTube.
he
either.
used to get it.
Hmm.
Okay.
I am not
I
sure, but
feel
I
like
think
Ravish Kumar's TV show used to get way more viewership than he
yeah,
gets on
absolutely.
YouTube. I
Yeah,
feel like
absolutely.
YouTube only proved literally how much he used to get on TV. Right? I feel like it's
Right.
the other way around where
Okay.
if he's getting like whatever अभी कितने 50 लाख लोग हैं उसके subscribers.
Huh. Huh.
If 50 lakh so log subscribe to him and he gets like a million like views every other video like within
Hmm.
2 days,
Hmm.
imagine the number of people who used to watch him on TV. It's
Correct.
crazy,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And TV will always have a bigger reach to be general
Right.
because
Right.
I'll tell you why also, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
I went to this one office, some VC office, whatever, for some work.
Hmm.
A very fancy place in Bombay.
Hmm.
We went in. We were sitting in the lobby, and outside, मतलब वो
Hmm.
ग्लास का डोर था उनका एंट्रेंस का, उसके
Hmm.
बाहर एक बड़ा टीवी लगा हुआ है, राइट?
Hmm.
लाइक 42 इंच का टीवी लगा हुआ है
Hmm.
और उसपे CNN IBN चल रहा है, राइट?
Hmm.
लिफ्ट के पास लिटरली nobody is watching, but that channel is running, right? So while sitting in the lobby we're just passively like अरे क्या हो रहा है, क्या हो रहा है? That is the case at airports, that is the case at hospitals, that is the case at every other public place that you see where TV is running and news channels are running. So
Hmm.
just by passing by, so many people are watching those TV channels that we can't even count.
So, Meghnad, what you're saying is about community viewership. So, mobile phones does not allow you to have a community
Hmm.
viewership, and
Hmm.
it's quite the same with newspapers. So, number of people who buy it and number of people who read it is obviously more. The
More.
readership is more. So, similarly, people who one TV can cater to a lot of people. So, it automatically increases the view
Hmm.
count as well. It automatically increases the reach as well, but
Hmm.
that's not the same case in mobile phone. Maybe I saw it, but none of the persons in my family
Hmm.
saw it.
Hmm.
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 So I think that's an important distinction to make, and that is why I feel but I do feel that digital at some point of time will catch up with TV, because TV is increasingly becoming irrelevant day
Hmm.
after day.
Hmm.
And the news setting, the agenda setting happens online now on Twitter, social media, and the digital news sphere. And I think that's a big win for digital media. But at the same time, the viewership is still with TV as of now. I think
Hmm.
the reach is still with TV.
Okay.
I,
Okay.
I
One
just
last.
wanted to
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
I
Go
just
ahead.
wanted
Nidhi.
to plug the How to Citizen episode that is coming up soon.
Okay.
It's with Nidhi Razdan, and we had
Hmm.
an extensive decision like discussion about this whether because I come from the school which Srishti also comes from, which says that TV will become irrelevant. So people like
Okay.
Tucker Carlson, as a result, will become
Right. Right.
irrelevant also,
Hmm. Hmm.
unless they move to digital media right now and
Hmm.
sort of establish a new base, which Ravish
Hmm.
Kumar is doing.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
Nidhi disagreed with that, and she's like,
Okay.
"No, you have no idea how big of a reach that TV has. Like
Yeah.
digital media cannot even come close because of this community viewing aspect only, which is
Right.
like you don't know at what point how many people are watching. Like there
Right.
is only an estimate you can give. It's like
Hmm.
radio. Like radio waves are everywhere.
Correct.
Radio devices
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
picking it up. You can't
Yeah.
never tell how many are listening."
Right. Okay. One last
Actually,
thing.
I'll
Go ahead, Srishti.
regarding that. So
Hmm.
I was actually trying to consider, that's very important, because so recently I did a story on how evolution was dropped from NCRT
Yeah.
books.
Yeah.
Hmm.
The story was written for Al Jazeera, but I
Hmm.
think that became the news in every household when The follow-up story was done by all the Indian newspapers, that how scientists have written to NCRT to take the changes back.
Hmm.
And that's
Hmm.
because newspapers have wider readership. The story was first broken on digital media. Digital media is only limited to certain mobile phones who have read that particular news, although it was very widely read, and there was a lot of interaction online.
Right.
But still, I feel it reached far-fetched corners of India when newspapers started reporting on it. When
Hmm.
newspapers did, then television started reporting on it, and then it became a very big news. And I feel like, digital media, of course, at this point of time is not enough in itself.
Cool. At that point, sorry, I'll take it again. Cool. At this point, we'll wrap up today's episode. Thank you so much, Srishti, for joining us. Before we wrap up, anything you want to plug? Where can people find you on social media? If you have a website, please tell us about it.
So I think a lot of my friends have ranted over the last couple of weeks that उनका blue tick ले लिया गया है, मेरा भी ले लिया गया है. But I still have a blue tick on Instagram. So all my handles are Seeking Srishti everywhere. So you can
All right.
seek me by typing Seeking Srishti on wherever you want to. It's the same. Some places you might find a blue tick, some places you might not. But
Right.
follow me.
I
Okay.
have to ask you, are you sad?
Yeah, to be honest, थोड़ा सा ऐसा तो लग रहा है कि इज्जत कम हो गई है. बट
Uh,
ठीक है, इंस्टाग्राम पे है तो ठीक है, लाइक. बट इंस्टाग्राम पे फॉलोअर्स नहीं है. लाइक ट्विटर पे आई हैव अ लॉट मोर फॉलोअर्स देन इंस्टाग्राम. एंड प्लस
right.
ट्विटर इज अ स्पेस वेयर यू कैन क्रिएट कन्वर्सेशंस, एंड देन आई फील
Right.
इंस्टाग्राम इज मोर ऑफ पर्सनल स्पेस.
Correct.
Hmm.
But I think, and more or less my stories are being still read, so it's okay for me.
All right.
Hmm.
I hope I'm not scammed though. Like, I hope there is no impersonation, because as a woman, that's really risky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
Very,
Yeah.
very risky. What if somebody says something to Modi with Srishti Jaswal name, and then there's a blue tick against it, and then people
Mm.
will come after me and it's not even me? Imagine
Yeah.
the
Hmm.
scenario.
Yeah. Yeah. Scary times. Uh, but
Scary
let's
times.
let's go to someone who has paid for Twitter Blue. Meghnad, where can people find you?
I'm
You
so
can
sorry, Meghnad.
you totally judge me right now. I know this. Not that you're the only person who is judging me, but yeah, you can find me on Meghnad. I do have a blue tick which I paid for. And oh, by the way, so I like this journalist called me. They're doing a story on this, like which is blue tick, Culia logo.
Hmm. Hmm.
Indian users were bought blue tick, and
Yeah.
they called me also, and they're
Hmm.
like, "Oh, will you talk about it?" I'm like, "Of course, I'll talk about this." They're like, "Oh, why did you get this?" Right? So I was like, "Artificial boosting, like it's pay to win." Basically, I
Yeah.
give mera like followers भी बढ़ रहा है. I've been
Hmm.
tracking analytics, and
Hmm.
it's getting me like a lot of traction by
Right.
default. मैं कमेंट करता हूँ किस पे तो मेरा टॉप में आ जाता है. Great, and
Uh,
and as a result, I'm benefiting from this.
right.
So they're like, yeah, but but still, I mean, like, what is the real reason? I'm like, that is
Yeah.
the real reason. I'm telling you the real reason.
Uh,
Okay,
Like, I
okay,
am
Meghnad.
paying to win.
So I can understand. I think I would have paid too, but मेरे पास इतना पैसा नहीं है, so इसलिए मैं पे
That's
नहीं कर
the
पा रही
thing.
हूँ.
I
मैं
agree.
भी करती, but मेरे पास इतना
same.
पैसा नहीं
Same.
है. So
Srishti, I'm
I'm gonna
relating to you
send my
right now.
stories to you. I'm gonna send my stories to you. You're gonna comment it everywhere.
I will do that, Srishti. You DM me, I will retweet it, I will comment on it. We will use my account to promote your stories also. Done.
I love you
Awesome.
already.
यार, चल. तो
All right.
मैं
Cool.
देख देख अब तो रिडेम्पशन मिल रहा है ना मुझे. मैं समाज सेवा भी कर रहा हूँ ब्लू टिक से.
बिल्कुल, 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 बिल्कुल.
चलिए.
हमारे
Sure.
मसैया, हमारे रॉबिन हुड यहीं पे बैठे हैं.
हमारे टकर कार्लसन. Okay. And finally, you can follow me on Twitter at Abbas Momin and Abbas Momin88 on Instagram. I don't have a blue tick on either one of them. But you can follow our show, page 10 on the All About Now podcast feed and YouTube channel. And please also check out ALI 10 and How to Citizen. Subscribe to the channel, listening to us on an audio platform. Please rate and review us wherever you can. And yeah, we'll see you all next week with a new bunch of stories and a new panelist. Until then, bye bye.